Okay. Well, thank you all for coming to this Google Play Games Developer Summit today. There's quite a lot of familiar faces in the audience. Very nice to see you. For those that don't recognize me, my name is Richard Hindman. I'd like to think that I'm your guide dangerous for the day, avoiding overrunning session times and finding treasures, digging up treasures from each of the speakers. But there's two problems with that. I think the first one is in a very, very recent poll. Not that many people know who Guy Dangerous is. Blank faces. Anybody? One person with Guy Dangerous. No? Damn it. That was supposed to work. Guy Dangerous being the lead protagonist from Temple Run. And the second problem being I'm probably a lot more like Minion Dave, just trying to avoid a bus smashing me in the face right now. I've also got some very, very bad tech jokes up my sleeve, which I'll pull out if necessary later on. So hopefully it runs all smoothly. We've got a fantastic set of speakers lined up for you today who are going to run into all the details of the Play Game services and why Google is doing gaming. With Play Game services, Google is aiming to bring you a very powerful cross-platform suite of tools and services for you to enhance your gaming user experience, increase engagement, and improve revenues. So with that, I'd like to invite on stage Thomas Schreiber. I knew I was going to get that wrong. E.I. Schreiber. Who's going to talk to us about why Google is in gaming. Thomas.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming here to us, to our office in London. And it's actually quite exciting. This is the first time, I mean, obviously we've had a number of Google Developer Summits, but this is the first time that we have one that is in Europe and dedicated only to gaming. So that's quite great. Let's maybe start with a bit of honesty, because this is a developer summit, and who of you have actually written real code in the last 7 days? That's pretty good. It's impressive. And for those who didn't raise your hands, don't panic. You can stay here. The conference is also for you. We'll cover all aspects. And I have to confess, I myself, it's been actually a long time that I have written serious code. So, you know, I feel with you who weren't able to raise your hands. Although a few weeks ago, I actually started again working on code and actually working on games. That I started teaching 9 to 11-year-olds how to code. This is using an environment called Scratch, where they actually develop games. And I mean, it's super inspiring to do this and see the excitement of the children. But I can also tell you that of all the things that I have to do, this is the most challenging thing that I have to do, to try to crowd control 9 to 11 years old kind of being excited with their games. And the hope of this program is that, you know, they find a buzz with this kind of topic. They stay interested in technology. They consider education in this space. And then in a number of, obviously in a couple of years, when your companies have all kind of grown tremendously and you need a lot more developers, then I will have personally, you know, gotten the developers for you. But not only is it me who helps out, you know, trying to grow the gaming industry. I mean, clearly it's a huge growth opportunity. That's why you are all here. You're doing great stuff, and Google is also investing heavily in that space. For example, in Cologne at GDC last year, we announced that our favorite video format, TrueView, that some of you may know from YouTube, a skippable ad format, that we made this available on games on the web. And of course, it's available on mobile apps as well. And then just last week at GDC in San Francisco, there were just so many announcements on product improvements that even I'm struggling kind of to remember all of them. And we'll go through them throughout the day in more details. So, you know, importantly, your game is the key, right? You are doing great at developing games, and that's the most important thing that matters. But the world has become quite complicated. There are so many things that you need to consider on top of actually making a great game. You need to ask yourself, you know, how do I make the infrastructure so that it scales with your game as it becomes more popular? You know, how do you actually distribute your game so that you get millions of users using it? You know, once you have the users in your system, how do you engage the users more deeply? And last but not least, you might want to make a lot of money with it as well. So you can pay your development team. And so you need to find the right systems in place so you can monetize well. And what I want to do today is give you a brief tour running through the Google services on how they can help you with those specific points. So in terms of, so let's start with taking the work away on the infrastructure to make your games scalable. You might have heard of this operating system Android before. So clearly, we are putting a lot of effort in developing the SDK, making it work on as many devices as possible. I mean, Android 4.4 KitKat has been out for some time, so I'm sure you're all familiar with it. But with this release, I feel we've taken it another level, making it available on even more devices. And the SDK, I mean, we would encourage you to develop natively on the SDK to really benefit from the efficiency and the responsiveness that you can get on those devices. And of course, we also have put in a lot of effort on the developer support so that you can code, debug, and test. On the Google Play games, this is a great piece of infrastructure so that a number of real-life problems that you have or that you should consider to make your games more interesting, such as multiplayer support or keeping scores, etc., that this level of services can take care of it, so you can focus on the core aspect of your game. And clearly we heard you that if you really want to support multiplayer games, it needs to be available across operating systems. And I believe that was one of the announcements, that it's not only Android, but also iOS and support also for web. Actually, I mean, Cloud Save has been out for some time, but let me share one of the frustrations that I have as a gamer. So like many people in the room, I have multiple devices, right? I mean, you've probably all seen this chart that you start in the morning with your mobile phone. You commute to work, then during the day you use your laptop, desktop more heavily, then you commute back, you use your phone, and then you use your tablet in the evening. A lot of people do that, right? It's not just me who's doing that. So I find it very frustrating that when I'm at home and I want to use the laptop, I can't play any of the games because a lot of you still force me that if I start playing your games, I have to start from scratch. Right? I've spent so much time and effort to go up to this level. And of course, when I switch device, I want to continue with that level. So please, just for me, please develop your games so that you save the score and the level somewhere. I think the Google Play Games service is a great and easy way to do it. But if you want to do it another way, just please do it for me. And of course, it's not only mobile, but we also have a great set of tools that helps you on the web. So specifically, we have a set of APIs as part of the Chrome packaged apps that really allow you to have web-based games, using HTML, JavaScript, CSS, so that you can create the same experience so that they're as powerful as a native app, but they're as safe as a web app. And it's not just user-facing technology. A lot of things need to go in the background as well to make your game scalable, so that when it really takes off, your game works. And what we have done is exactly the same technology that we use at Google to make our system scalable. We make that available to you as a Google Cloud Platform service. And I actually look forward to the session later from Kai from Mag Interactive, who's going to share his experience of how this is working for him. Right. So I hope that has given you some ideas, and I'm sure some of these weren't exactly new things, of what services you can use from Google that helps you with the infrastructure aspect. But of course, you want to get users, you want to get millions of users, you want to get hundreds of millions of users. So let's go through what are the tools that we can help you with that challenge. The first one is kind of, again, an obvious one, and Dan will speak to that in more detail of how you really get the best out of the Google Play platform to distribute your game. But the numbers speak for themselves, right? I mean, 50 billion downloaded apps, another 2 billion every month. You know, clearly this is something to look into and really optimize for you. And you know, just as we had before, you know, don't forget the web. On the Chrome store is really a fantastic way to distribute web versions of your game, and you know, it has hundreds, millions of users. It is an opportunity that you should definitely think about. And I have a surprise for you. Advertising actually does work. So if you want, you know, obviously, you know, people will use your game ultimately because it's a great game, right? If you have a game that's not so great, you know, no level of advertising is going to help with that. But what you can do is just to get more users actually discover your game. So whether it's, you know, which this screen is depicting, whether it's a focused text search campaign. So if a user is searching for your game or is searching for something very similar, that you direct them to your game, or whether it's a remarketing campaign that you have a user who has played very frequently and somehow they have stopped to remind them about it, or a remarketing campaign because you have now a game that you think would interest the same user, or you want to attract completely new people, new players, and you use more rich engagement ads, you know, either videos or kind of display ads, so that you can really tell the story of the visual appeal of the game and create that experience. It definitely does work. Now, once you start paying for users, you of course have to look into metrics that you spend your money wisely. And you know, the cost of user acquisition is not necessarily the most important aspect. So let's just assume that, you know, the game that you want to distribute is actually a free game, and you want to make money through in-app purchases or through advertising. So no matter what you have spent to acquire that particular user, if that user only downloads the game and doesn't actually play it, that was not a very smart investment. And so really to look for is that you need the deep analytics to figure out how do you get the return on your investment, how do you get that user who is actually making the purchase, is making the in-app purchase, or is playing the game long enough so that you can show them enough ads that it actually pays off for you. And one of the great things is where our product suite really helps you is that we now have very deep integration also between AdMob and analytics, so you can easily see that segmentation to really understand, you know, which campaign is working for you and which isn't. Right, so now we're in a good state. You have hundreds of millions of users. You know, clearly they will stay in your game because it's a great game experience. But you know, what other services can Google help you with just to deepen the engagement even further? First one, and we'll hear about that later today as well. I think it's the next session actually. On how to have multiplayer support. So I won't go too much into detail, but like in essence, the more you can get your users to play with their friends, play against their friends, share things with their friends, the more they are delighted and the better the experience it is for them. And this is a solution that we make available to you so you don't have to do a lot of coding around it. Of course, the same is true for the web, and I just wanted to point out one thing that I get a lot of positive feedback from publishers who have a strong web presence is that if you use the Google Plus sign-in process, you know, similar to Google Play, that you can purchase something on the web and it gets downloaded to your Android device. When a user logs in on your service using the Google Plus functionality, you have the ability to directly download and install the mobile app that you want on the user's devices. So I think that's another a great way how to distribute your applications. On let's see how well you know your YouTube. And anyone from Google is not allowed to answer. Who knows what is the most popular channel on YouTube by number of subscribers? Exactly. He's got 25 million subscribers, and it's incredible. If you think about all the content, all the videos, all the channel, it's actually the gaming sector that is the number one. And I think this is an area that is almost like a hidden secret, and more can be made of it. Gaming content is incredibly popular on video. So, and Ibrahim will go into more details later, but because it is like that, it's good to think to both use it as a promotional tool to show the power of your games, the experience that people have, but also think about in your games, either using video actually in the games, or if someone has had a nice gaming experience, can you use, for example, YouTube APIs that you can share, that they can share that gaming experience with their friends? And then, obviously, you want to listen to your users, right? That you want to have a game where the comments they give, the ratings they give is high. If you have high ratings, your ranking is higher, you get more usage, you make more money, life is good. And we have a mechanism to give that feedback. So focusing on quality is important. At the same time, what is of course crucial is that don't just put out your game and then hope that users will love it, because the reverse can also happen, that if users aren't happy, they give you bad ratings and then kind of everything spirals down. So what we would recommend is that you use the alpha and beta testing tool that we have. So you can test it out with a trusted group of gamers, and they will give you the feedback, and then in a dialogue you can improve your game, and only when you're really ready you push it out, and you get much more success. Right. So now we come to the last section. You have a scalable game. You have reached lots of users. They stay even more engaged with the game, spending more time because of all this social features, YouTube engagement, etc. But I guess most of you actually want to make money out of it. The obvious and very, very important mechanism is, of course, to sell your game. And with Google Play supporting to sell your game in over 130 countries, that's, of course, a great opportunity how to make money. But life is more complicated. That clearly this is a fantastic revenue stream. How to sell money? Not selling money, making money. But the sad truth is that when you look behind the actual numbers, is that it's a very, very small percentage of users who are willing to pay money for your games. A recent study that I have read claimed that the majority of revenue made from in-app purchases or from upfront purchases is less than 0.2% of your users, right? So if that is the case, then you should ask yourself, well, what about the other 99.8% of the users? Are you okay to not make any money out of them? And personally, how I think about this challenge is, I think it's less a question whether you personally think ads are a great thing or not. But users have a preference. So some users are willing to pay money to get an experience, and some are not. And for those who are not prepared to make money, advertising, I think, is a very legitimate way for you to make money for all the hard work that you have done. And actually, we have worked very hard on this. I think it would be fair to say that 2 years ago, AdMob was merely a demand platform, that we help you to get ads, but it has grown tremendously. It is now a fully working advertising solution in that it's deeply integrated with Google Play. So, for example, if you want at runtime to figure out should I actually have an in-app purchase ad, then we have that integration, and it puts you directly to the Play Store. It also is deeply integrated into analytics, which is very important, because those users who pay you a lot of money, well, maybe, even though you love ads, you may not want to show them any ads. And you need exactly that segmentation, getting all the signals out of your application from analytics all combined, so that you can dice and slice the user to really use the optimal monetization strategy. Clearly you are in control, but get the most out of this opportunity. And here, so this is one way how to do it. For those users who don't want to pay for your app, you can have a display ad. But of course, that's not the only thing how to do it. I think another great way how to do it is to have more engaging formats. And I think the skippable ad format that we provide, I think, is actually another fantastic mechanism. So let's say, clearly not in the middle of the game, but once the user has reached a certain level, and it's the kind of user who's not giving you money anyway, why don't you show them a skippable ad? And then the user has a choice. They can either skip the ad and continue playing your game, and that's fine because they are not interested to see the ad. And so the value to the advertiser is also not so great because they want the audience to engage with their ad. Or they actually decide that they want to see the ad, and then it's fantastic for the advertisers, and they're willing to pay a lot of money for that. And so this is the experience that we provide. I just wanted to mention, given that at Google the majority of revenue comes from advertising, clearly this is our bread and butter. And the tools that we use internally, we also make available to you. So if you are a very large games company and you have your own sales force that goes out in the market and sells it directly, obviously we can offer you the same tools that any big company uses to really make that a scalable process, and it's all fully integrated. So it works with AdMob, and it works with video, and it works across all platforms, and it's all the same system. And I even take a personal bet that no matter what advertising solution you have, because of all this deep integration, I would take a personal bet that we will generate more revenue than any other system. So that was kind of a marathon, kind of running through the different products. We will hear kind of more details in the later session, and I hope it has given you an idea of how we can help you in the development process to make your games more scalable. How we can help you to generate more users, whether it's from organic traffic or whether it's from paid traffic. The tools that you can leverage so that your game is more engaging, and last but not least, how you can make as much money as possible, because at the end of the day you're running a business. But let's not keep forgetting, the most important thing is that you continue writing fantastic games. Thank you very much.